just in case we're going to make this. So 1, 2, 3, recording now. So I just want to make this in a sort of devtalk, and I will just make them in a way to have some sort of historical record of what was happening in the beginning of the Seal Studios, and just to talk a little bit about the progress of the games and what I think of other games in the genre and stuff. So, for starters, I have 90 games. There are 90. Now I don't know how much time I will have to do this to finish them all to the 100%. I don't know. But right now I'm working on 7. That are very much small. They're really small games. I'm doing this just in a way to some are FPS, others are RPG. Right now I will focus on the RPG project because it's the most easier one to do, and it's the one that has the most public. So RPG. Right now I have finished the lore. The lore is finished. What must be of the asset that is work in progress? That is WIP. Now I'm just about to finish what is one area. Just about to finish one area. I know what you've been thinking. How many areas? How long? This and that. But I just want to make the game with 20 or more characters. I may meet the 20. Maybe I will make it. Maybe I won't, but right now I'm finishing one of those characters, and I will begin working on that, and I will show you what I'm making in the following months. And that is that. The lore is done. I'm working on area 1 of the 20 or more. It will have a sandbox where you can choose any of the 20 or so characters, and you will play in something, and you will choose different things that can happen here and there. But that's all. Nothing more to say about that. You may want to see the assets, but it will be better if I just show you gameplay on the future in 1-2 months from now. So right now we're going to talk about one of the things that I just wanted to make. So we will talk about why turn-based is bad. Now, turn-based began in the 80s, and this happened because PCs were not very strong at the time, so people didn't know what to do, and not knowing what to do, they say, well, maybe we can just go to disk games and just copy that. And one of the most popular games at the time was what was it called? D&D. And so they just grab Dungeons and Dragons and they just copy everything. They just copy everything of it from beginning to finish. And so after copying that, they say, well, just grab the rules and we will make that onto PC. And that's how the turn-based thing began. Now, I know many of you will not have in place Wizardry. It's one of good example. There are a lot more of them. But I know, and I know this by the fact that all of you have played JRPGs. And this is when I say turn-based is bad. Because let's picture how this works. Your character just moves into an area. And he is moving into an area. And then suddenly there is a sound effect. And then you have this. And then your character is here. There is a monster here. And you have this thing here. And so you just press a button. And then your character attacks the monster. And then your turn ends. And the monster attacks you. And that goes around 1 or 2 minutes at a time. Now that is for modern games. If you are playing Final Fantasy VII, for example, that goes about 5 minutes. Now why do these people do this? Well, the thing is very simple. Let's say I have a $60, that is to say I want to show the game. Now people will not pay that for a 10 hours game. So our little Japan say, well, what if I just grab this 10-hour game I have and just do this little thing, and I just began to add random battles through all of the map. So through all of the map, your player will give one step and then bang, you are in a battle. And this goes on and on and on. And then your 10-hour game now is a 60-hour game. And now you can say, well, there are 60 hours of play, so there are $60. And now you are rich. And now you can go and buy a boat. You can buy a boat. And you can say, I'm happy because I have money. And so that is the whole purpose. They just say, well, let's just copy D&D. Let's just bring that to PC. Instead of making, like the dice, you can just say no this, and it's just in the PC. It's some here, and your character here. And that's just the whole reason why this happened, because they're really lazy people. And so that is what happened. That's just all. And so, not knowing how to make it more so, this just is boring, because you spend more time
making the same action. And so that makes the game boring, because there is no action. You're just playing A or X over and over again. Or in some Japanese games, you do it with the O button. And so you just do that. That is to say, your character stands there, you select attack, then your character does the attack. No, he doesn't. What your character will do is just see which enemy to attack. Once you select the enemy, you will proceed to continue the turn. And now, once you finish the turn, your character will then execute the action. Now, see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are 5 steps that you have to take. 5. Now, in an action game, what you just do is your character and you press the fucking button that attacks. You play, for example, A, and then the character just attacks. And so there is one step. And that's why action RPG is better than turn-based. And so you can say, well, but what about auto battle? Now I know that Final Fantasy, like I believe it was 13, and did the auto battle thing. I know there are other games that say, well, if your level is bigger than the LB of the monster, then the monster will just run and you escape the battle. Now that's good, that's really cool, but not all games do that. So what you will proceed to do is just grind. You will just grind for hours, and every hour is equal to $1. And so our little Japanese brothers will say, well, we can make it. We can make it. 1 hour is equal to $1, and we just pass the game, then we have won. So if we make a 100-hour game, then we have $100, and we are rich. And so this is how people think about RPGs. They just make it really tedious, really boring. They're just padding out the game instead of making the game. And the same happens with talking to in the game. Because if you begin to see JRPGs, you will just watch how these people just begin putting meaningless dialogue all over the game. Now I know you will say, well, but I'm actually a waifu enjoyer, and so I very much like talking to my waifu. And I know, but this just makes the game longer without giving actual meaning, and so it's really boring. I just don't like this kind of stuff. And so this is why RPGs are bad. Turn-based is bad. It's a really older technique that should really die off. In the same way that visual novels should really start innovating instead of doing the exact same thing over and over again. So we have talked about random encounters. I will give you an example of that. Let's say you have your character and you enter what is a long hallway, and in the end of the hallway there is treasure. There is a treasure there, and so you see the treasure and you say, well, I want the treasure. And so you walk and there is a random battle, and you walk a little bit, you stop before the chest and there is a random battle. You give a turn after the final battle, and boom, another battle. You give a run again, you are going to touch it, another battle. And so now you have lost 15 minutes trying to open a chest. Now, you may think I'm just making some wild assumption here, but this is the truth. This is what happens when I'm playing Final Fantasy X. This is just what happens in Final Fantasy X. You may not like it, but that is what really happens. And this is why turn-based is a plague. It's a plague upon video games that must be destroyed. And it's really bad design, because you just make the player waste 15 minutes trying to open a chest. Now, if you are playing in a real game, you will see the chest, you will walk to the chest, you will open the chest, you maybe spend 10 seconds looking at the loot, and then you just move on. Your character just goes forward. See, this is faster, this is better, but people prefer doing this because this makes the player waste time, and if the player wastes time, we can make him play the game for longer. And if he plays the game for longer, then he cannot give our game away. He cannot go to Steam and refund the game. And so we have more dollars on our bank account. And this is why people do this kind of stuff. They just make you lose time because they don't want you to see how bad the game is really. And because making the games bigger over time, that is to say, you have a 100 gigabyte game. I know you will say, oh, that's small because I'm just playing Call of Duty and it's 300 gigabytes. Now this is a lot, and so you will play a long time downloading the game, you will waste a lot of time in the game, and you will just have a sunk cost fallacy with the game. Now, if you have a 1 gigabyte game, you can install, uninstall whenever you want. You can even put this in a USB and using it whenever you want. And so other games don't want you playing other games, and so that's why they will do this. Now I know you will say, oh, but these are DLC and cosmetics and sound. That's one that just put all the language. Now to resolve this, because I'm actually 140 IQ, and you will just give the player, when he installs the game, a little list and say, hey, do you want 16K textures, or do you want just 1K textures, or do you want 22 bits texture? Like what do you want? Like, do you want 8 gigabytes of texture? Do you want the 1 gigabyte? Or do you want the kilobytes texture? Like what do you want? And then the player chooses. Like, do you want like the game only in English? Do you want in Japan? Do you want it on maybe you want it on
on Chinese, and you just choose. You just choose the install button when you install the game, and then you choose what do you actually want in the game. Now this is only for single player, because if you are playing multiplayer, then obviously you will be forced to watch all the cosmetics, because otherwise people wouldn't buy cosmetics. They can come to you and say, hey, look my very expensive thing I have just bought. And so that is what happens. And so that is what all of this is, just a waste of time for the player. And I just hate this stuff. I just hate it. I just hate what modern video games are. I just hate it with all my soul. And that's why I'm here, to save video games, because you may not like it, but I'm your savior. And so that's that. Now, what else? Grinding. Well, grinding is just a waste of time. Long dialogue. Now, that's the yapping, the power of the yapping. So while they're long, why is the long talk bad? Wait, not do this. Not this, very bad, very bad. Well, for starters, this is due of IQ. For example, you have the dev, and so you must transmit an idea to the player. Now, you may want exposition. You may want to just say, hey, I'm actually better than Tolkien. You may say, I'm better than G.R. Martin. You may say, I'm the best writer in the entire galaxy. But the problem is, maybe the player doesn't care. Maybe the player just wants to kill some stuff. Maybe he says, I don't give a fuck about the story, about the characters. And so that is why you have to have very in account that maybe the player doesn't care at all. Maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he says, why I should see your game? Me don't like it. And so, having that into stuff, that is why you have to transmit the idea in one or two sentences. You have only one or two sentences to carry out the idea. If you have a cinematic, you may say, wow, this just looks so cool. I am the best of the best, like Hollywood. Hollywood is just scared of me. The guys on Room 34, they fear me. You may say all of that. The problem is that if you post a video and the player is here and he is just watching this, what the player will do is, where is the skip button? They will say, where is the skip button? I don't care. I just want to play. I don't care about this. I don't care about these characters. I don't want to do anything with this. So that is a really big problem. So what will happen is you're just wasting time. You're wasting money. You're wasting time. The player just doesn't care. And so you will have a player that in the presence of Lord will be happy. And you will have a player that just doesn't care. Now, this is a real problem. This is a very big problem in video games. Until now, almost nobody knows how to resolve this. This little problem, this divide between people that care about the lore and people who doesn't.
people who want the power of the yapping, and people that doesn't care. And so my recommendation to you is just make it 1 or 2 sentences, or maybe just make it optional, like put some character, and if you work to the character and you have like different dialogue, and you say, hey, can you talk to me about this stuff? And then the character will say, well, I will talk to you for the next hour about the lore of my game. Would you like to know what King Henry did last week? And all that. And some players that just don't care about the lore, they will just completely skip this. They just won't give an idea about it. And if you see, like, for example, Morrowind, I know, old game. Most of you are probably more familiar with this stuff. But in those games, there are books, there are a lot of stuff that is really optional, and only people that care about the lore know about that stuff. People that just say, I want to loot, and they just will most probably play Skyrim rather than Morrowind. But these people will just come here and they say, okay, I'm the Dragon Ball, so I kill. And that's the only thing they will do. Now, people that like about the lore, they will just be looking at the map, and they may be saying, whoa, look about all of this stuff I can do. And they will come and really play the game, really talking to all the characters, looking at the books. They will look at the little books. They will just be all over the game, and they will say, wow, this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Now, people that just say, well, I just want to kill, they will say, well, this is a 3 out of 10 game, because the combat sucks, because it's an RPG. And so that is a real problem. A real problem that, besides the coming and here, hey, just DMC, I just make it Devil May Cry, I just don't know how to solve that stuff. I just don't know. Like in my game, for starters, I make the combat a little bit faster with the idea of saying, hey, you have a dice, you roll the dice. If you add a good number, then you insta-kill. If you get a bad number, you get hurt. If you get a really bad number, then you are the one that dies. And so that makes the combat a lot more quicker. A lot more quicker. The problem is, the game, due to that, is a lot more shorter, because I don't have random encounters. And so that is why I will put at least 20 characters in the game, because otherwise you will all come, play for 20 minutes and say, wow, I just arrived at the credits. Now, what are JRPG bats? I don't like JRPGs. You must say, but what about Dragon Quest? It's bad. What about Persona? It's bad. What about this and that? It's bad. They're all bad games. Now, one of the good ones is the Nier saga, that in reality is just Drakengard. But guess what? They're action RPGs. And so, I know you will say, oh, but what about Voice of Cards? The Voice of Cards. Well,
I have just explained to you during the entire video why I don't like turn-based. And so the problem with that JRPGs is mostly due to culture. It's just culture. Like we are different. Like you have the Japan people, and they are very different from the rest. We are just not the same. And so there are these lots of different stuff that I know many of you are a bunch of otakus. Like, I know you only watch Ongeselig and Fight Class on my channel. But the problem with this is that the games are not really very good, because take this into account. You're playing a game that comes from another culture. You may like the game, but the problem is it's not really your culture, so you will never understand what the other person is actually saying. And so, what I think is a better alternative than just saying, oh my god, I just love Japan and I just want to live in Japan, and all the cringe stuff you guys say online, is just to get your country to make games. And so, you will make games for your countrymen, for your people, with your culture and with your history and stuff, and then you can be proud. That proud that you have for Japanese people, it will be actually in your country, and that is a lot better. Now I know most of you will just say, oh no, I love Japan, but that is the truth of the matter. Now, that one is good, and we will finish the video on that one. Now, why are open worlds bad? Now, you may have the open world, you may see the map, and you will say, oh wow, I will go anywhere on the map. I love this is just like real life. You may see that and say, I just love this stuff. I just love it. I see to this beautiful map full of stuff and I love it. But the problem is, for the dev team, it's really hard to just make that an enjoyable experience. Now I want you to look at this. Imagine you are making a linear game. In a linear game, you know the player will go in this direction and there is only this direction alone, so you can put a lot of content there, and this is why this game is a 10 out of 10, and this is why this game is a 2 out of 10. And you may be saying, oh well, because now the problem is that in an open world game, you just don't know where the player is going to go. He may go in this direction, he may go in this, he may be running in circles, you just don't know. So putting content actually in the map is very hard, because you don't know which path will actually take the player. And this is a real problem. Now you can come here and say, well, we've just put a lot of content over the map. No matter which direction the player goes, there will always be content. And you may even go one step further and say, we will make characters that just roam around the map and they have their own routines, and we have this super AI
they just moves the character and they react to what the player does. And so you even have climate and day and night cycle, and all of these change how the NPC reacts to the player, and all of that. You can make all of that if you want. But the problem is that it's really hard to make. That is really hard, and until now no one has done it in a good way except me. Because me, this guy, I'm at 10 out of 10. So I have made it. And that's why I'm talking about it. But the problem is, most of devs will just don't know how to do this. And this is why this is easier and is better for most of the industry. Because this is a real problem. Now I know many of you will say, oh, but there are these games, like for example there is Prey, there is Dishonored, there is all of this Sims game, this immersive sim game that just give you like some area and you have different stuff to do, like for example Deus Ex. This is really cool, really well done. But the problem is there is a limit, and the limit is that most of NPCs don't really react to what you do, and that is because they have some lines, they have some walking paths, they have some stuff to do, but there isn't really a real sim in the meaning of the word, because there isn't really much to be done. And so the games just fail. Like, let's play I'm Adam Kensen. Let's just say I'm Alan Kensen, and I am this badass cyborg, and I come to this NPC on Prague, and he's just there. And so the NPC sees me, and I'm just standing there with my coat, and I'm just this badass guy. And so the NPC will start looking at me, and he will do nothing. And this is the real problem I have with these games. Now, I know you can just come here and make maybe 3,000 just a 3,000 reaction script about this and make it all worthwhile to say, oh no, they will react to what you do. Like, you can make that stuff. Now most of the dev guys, they will not make anything with it, and that's a real shame, because I know that video game engines may be going a little bit in a wrong direction right now, but this, making the NPC react and all of that, will be a lot better. It will be a lot better, and making them do other stuff and that will make open worlds better. Or you can cheat and do what Yakuza does. Now Yakuza, they make a small map and they just fill it with content, and so no matter any direction you move, you will have content. And that's what they have, the random stories and all of that stuff. Now I actually wanted Yakuza to pull up another level, but they never did. And now that the direction is gone, I feel this will just be dead on the water really soon. I just feel they will just die in any moment. But I believe that's all for today. Like I said, my solution to like the dead open worldy it's just simple. Make the map, fill it with content, give a really cool AI, make random stuff on it. This is really important. These two things are really important to make it feel alive. Make the NPCs run, make them move, make them react, make the story random. That is a really cool one that not many of you guys have done because you don't have the balls. You don't have the balls to do it. And so I believe that for today we are very much done. Yes, I know. I know you may be thinking. But one of the things my games are better than the rest is this little trick that is called presentation. Because one of the things you guys often forget is that people want to see cool stuff on their screen. So if you have, for example, if you have a character, and let's say you have a character and he looks really cool. Let's just say you have a character. Now presentation is really important. It's really important because people often are gained by what they see. So having a visual identity, having soul is really important. So right now, what I'm showing you is the power of just having soul. Like this is the power of having presentation. The only thing I did is changing the background color. I just changed the background color and I'm making like I'm just making a simple drawing, a very simple drawing, but as you guys can see, this is the power of presentation. I'm just making a really simple drawing, and you can see how just by changing the background color, just by making this really simple action of changing the background color, well, I just make a little bit of stuff. I just grab another color, some really striking color, and just by doing these really little things, these little details, they're very small things that you can do to give a little bit of oomph to what you are doing. This very small stuff, this very little stuff that you can do, this really simple stuff to just having soul, just having a little bit of soul, just having a little bit of character, just having a little bit of having something to tell, and you just do this really simple thing, this really simple thing. As you can see, he looks like a cool guy. You see this? I say, wow, he looks really cool.
Like, I wonder what this guy is up to. I wonder what he thinks. He seems like a cool character. He seems like a guy, like a hitman. And you see, the only thing I did was just changing the background color, picking some noisy color, and there you have it. It was just that easy, that simple. And that's all. Now, if I put on white color, you see now it loses the effect. If I put the background, it looks really cool. If I don't put it now, it just doesn't look really cool. You see? This is what I mean by presentation. And that's why most of the games fail. Because you are not showing something interesting to the guys. When I see something on my screen, I want to be interested. But if you put something that just doesn't pique the attention of the people, then you will not make it. You will not make it. And that's why all of my games had a really strong visual identity. Because you need that strong visual identity. You need to really catch up people. Like, people need to just see your stuff and say, wow, this looks really cool. I'm really interested. I want to know what this game is about. I want to know what these people are talking. I want to know, like, what are their ideas. I want to know more about it. If you don't do that, then I'm sorry, but your game is going to fall. Your game just simply won't catch anyone's attention. And if you can, like, for example, take this little pic here with how the eyes are made. You see, those are two completely ways of making the eyes, and they really change the visual identity. And so the problem here is that, let's look at this. If you make a game and you don't have a soul, that is to say, you don't have visual identity, you don't have anything to tell, your story is just simply not interesting, then your game is going to fail. If your art is not very good, it doesn't matter. You can even make it with pixel art and all of that stuff. But the problem is, you really have to have something interesting to tell. Because you have like 3 or 4 seconds before people lose interest. Like, I know you will say, oh, but like, for example, there are these games of more than 100 hours and such. But these games have visual identity. If I see people, like, for example, going to the other examples, if you see people and they talk about the Elder Scrolls, most of the people will really like Morrowind. And they like Morrowind because it has a really strong visual identity. Like, it looks really different. Now, people don't talk about Oblivion, and that is because it just looks like fucking Lord of the Rings. And a lot of games, just books and movies and stuff, just copy that visual that Tolkien had. And so now it's really born, everyone has done it, and not many people like it. Now, if you see Skyrim, for the time Skyrim was really cool because it was of this Viking theme, of this Nordic thing that not many people has done before. Now, more than 10 years later, there has been a lot of Nordic style games, and now that visual identity is very much broken. Like, you cannot make a game that style without people just saying, oh, you just copy like Assassin's Creed, or just copy God of War,
And the same happens with Japan. There have been so many games about samurais and stuff that just cannot make it. And this is a real problem with video games. Everyone can just grab a setting, an idea, and then you need something really original to make people buy yours, because they say, well, this is just like the other game I just played yesterday, so why will I waste my money on something that just looks exactly the same to something I just played last week? And I'm making this statement really I'm talking to indie devs here, because I have seen thousands of clones or games and they look all the same. Like, I don't know why, but just guys, like, there is this asset pack about the night, and I have seen at least 30 games use that fucking asset pack. Like, I have seen that night in so many games that I just don't know what you guys are doing. Like, how? Like, I don't understand. And this is why your games fall. This is why it fails. Because you guys don't have an identity. And so you just copy what everyone else is doing in the hopes that your copy is going to get attention. And 99% of time it won't get attention. You are just wasting your time, you are wasting your money, you are gonna get really frustrated because no one is going to buy your game, and then you just will go to Twitter, you will write a lot of stuff in Twitter, and then I will just look at your tweets and say, well, you just made another roguelike without nothing original. There are more than 100 fucking roguelikes every week. Oh well, like, no one buys my game. Well, you just make another FPS. There are thousands of FPS. Oh no, but no one likes what I'm doing. Well, you're just copying what other people do without giving anything special or original on your own. And this is why gatekeeping is really important. Because you have all of these people without nothing to say, and I see this in social media every time. You have billions of persons, of little small personal stain of the laissez-faire of the Dutch bulk, and they just have nothing to say. They just have nothing to say, and everyone is just picking the same photos, picking the same phrases, picking the same music, and you guys just upload the same stuff over and over again. It's just the same over and over again, and I just don't understand it. You just guys make the same things, and when I say the same things, I really mean, like, you guys made the exact same stuff over and over again, and it just really gets me going. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, imagine making the same stuff over and over again, stuff that everyone has already done, and saying, hey, but mine is different. Like my stuff is better. And why? Why is better? Tell me. Why I should even pay attention to what are you doing right now? Oh, nice. You get bugged. Well, doesn't matter. And so the problem with all of this actually is that
most of the people just don't understand. They just don't get it. Like, they just come and copy stuff that everyone has already done. And it's really boring. Like, it's really boring. Like, I just don't get why these people exist, because they just copy what everyone else is doing. They just make the sense. Like, at some point, I actually think there are like bots or something like that. Like, I don't think they're actually human, because they just make like the exact same stuff. Like, I'm actually thinking that the internet is actually dead, because with AI and all of this stuff, I really think like everything is actually dead. Like, I don't think really humans are using the internet anymore. Like, I don't think anything of this is real. Like, I just watch stuff and just come to think about it and say, well, I actually think everything is dead. Like, I think we're actually at the end times. Like, I don't think we're going to make it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that has been your dev talk for today. I don't know. I think I will upload one of these every month or so, once I get progress in the game and I have something to talk about. I just wanted to load this video because I wanted to like tell people like, yes, I'm working on the games. Yes, I just finished writing the lore. Right now I'm drawing the assets. I'm making the assets. They're really cool. And that's that. There isn't much to be done. The assets are coming along nice. I just have more than 20 stories to make. I'm just finishing story number 1. And probably in the next dev talk I will actually show you gameplay. That I do have gameplay, but it's not in a state that I feel comfortable showing it to you, because you have to understand that making the UI is really hard, making the AI is really hard, making like the mechanics of the random stuff is really hard. And so I think that probably in a few months time I will have something ready. Maybe I will actually have finished campaign 1. Like I said, there are more than 20, so you will have to have a little bit of patience until I can actually give you the game and you can play it with your own hands. But yes, next time I will actually show you gameplay and I will talk about some stuff. Maybe I will start talking about the games I have actually played on Steam and why I don't like them. And so I will probably do that. But until then, see you next time and take care.